Cast, you said you use, do you use any sort of software or just the app itself?
We just use the app. I mean, I don't do the technical side. I have my co-host handles it. But yeah, we use StreamYard, and they just use their thing to record it or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And they just had a crash. They had a worldwide crash, and so everybody who was using it lost everything.
Oh
For like it
no.
was like 20 minutes, and I was like, that was the 20 minutes we were taping that week. Was the 20-minute StreamYard was just down.
So did you guys catch it like during the interview or was it after?
It kicked out one of our my co-host, and he couldn't get back in, and he was like, "I'm getting these weird messages, I can't get back in." And he was texting me, and I was like, "Well, I'm still talking to him, so we'll go." And then when we finished, he was like, "No, we only have half the audio."
Oh no, that is so rough. So things are good. We are not dropping frames at all, and we are crystal clear. I'm
Awesome.
good to go as long as you are.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's begin in 3, 2, 1. Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic episode of Keeping It Geekly. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we're hanging out with our new guest, Matthew Rosenberg. We're here to break down If Destruction Be Our Lot from Image Comics and everything in between. Welcome to the show. How are you doing, Matthew?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. I feel like I just said all the answers. I was like, "I'm good. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here." Like, you're supposed to only say one of those, but I said all three because
You know,
I'm excited. So
all three work. We
yeah,
both are late nighters, and it's like this morning time is such a hard time
yeah,
adjustment, right? Especially after the time skip. It's like it normally wasn't this late, bright in the afternoon. We usually were able to sleep in a little bit longer.
yeah. I as I get older, the time jump makes me more and more angry, to the point that it's like in my top 5 things that I get irrationally angry about, of just like, I'm losing an hour and I can't stand it. So yeah, it's but we're in there. I'm doing all right. Doing all right. Had a cocoa this morning. Good to go.
I remember this last time skip when it hit. I got off work. I usually get off around 1 or 2 in the morning, and I'm like, I got like an hour to get some editing done before the wife, tells me to get to bed, rightfully
Mhm.
so. And I remember it's like 2 o'clock, and I'm like getting ready to work, and I look down, and it's like 3 already. I'm like, there's no
Yeah.
way.
It's the worst. It's the
There's no
worst thing.
way.
It's the worst feeling. Non-consensual time travel is like really horrifying. It's a really horrifying concept, and yeah, I'm not in favor of it. Although I said I wasn't in favor to someone the other day, and they were like, "Well, the other version is worse." And I was like, "Oh, maybe if you care about daylight." But I'm a writer, so I don't leave my house, so daylight is not as important to me as it is to other people.
Absolutely. And for everyone that is joining us, here is a link to pre-order the book that we are talking about today, If Destruction Be Our Lot. Be sure to check it out. If you're able to pre-order, we would love to see that, but simply putting it on Facebook and Twitter, it's 100% free. It costs you nothing to share the word. So Matthew, I know you've probably been asked a billion times, what got you into comics? I already read. It sounded like an awesome adventure. I'm excited to learn, stealing comic books from your brother.
Yeah.
Were you able to work on any of those titles or series growing up?
Yeah. I mean, the big thing for me was my brother. I mean, he read a bunch of stuff, but the ones that really stuck with me were um Uncanny X-Men and Batman. He had a lot of Batman Detective Comic stuff and Uncanny X-Men stuff, and that's what when I was a kid, was sneaking into his room and grabbing. And so I've written both of those. I wrote 25 issues of Uncanny X-Men, and a bunch of Detective Comics, and various Batman things and X-Men things. So like, yeah, I really have that, like, I've been very fortunate to have a, sort of a dream checklist of characters I love and books I love, and kind of touched most of them in my career, which is a nice feeling, but also um creates those moments of like, well, what do I do now? Like, like, I don't know what to do when you've done everything you set out to do. But that's the nice thing about the human brain, is that I always come up with new stuff I want to do. So
And there's a lot of other awesome titles outside of Marvel and DC. Four kids walk into a bank. We're taking everyone down with us. Um, what kind of led you to want to dive into the creative journey of becoming a writer?
yeah, I'm from a family of writers. Both my parents are writers. My uncle is a writer. My brother's a writer. So when I was a kid, I made a decision pretty early on. when you start thinking about what you want to do with your life, I was definitely 100% sure that I did not want to be a writer. That was the only thing I knew. What I figured out, you couldn't ask me what I wanted to do, but I knew what I didn't want to do. And I spent a long time making sure that I wasn't a writer, and I worked in the music business for a long time. Because I love music, and I'm very passionate about music, and the music industry is horrible, just
Oh yeah,
horrible,
it'll
horrible
eat you
industry.
alive.
Yeah, and I hit a point where I was like, "Oh, if I keep doing this, I'm gonna hate music, and I don't want that." And but I also was, like, lucky enough to spend a bunch of years working in a field that I loved, even if it was slowly making me hate it, and so I didn't wanna just suddenly be like, "Well, now I wanna do accounting," or "Now I wanna do," like, whatever it is, "Now I wanna work in construction," whatever the options were. Um, I was like, "Well, I would like to try and stay clear near something I love," and the only thing I like as much as music is comics, and so I just was like, "Maybe I should make comics," and I spent a good couple weeks in the back of my head being like, "Yeah, I'll make comics," and I thought, I should be a publisher. I'll publish comics," and then I eventually realized that I was completely broke and, um, didn't know how to really run a business very well, so that was probably not the best idea. Didn't know anyone in comics, didn't know how they were made, and I was like, "Well, I can figure that out," but the broke thing seemed like a big problem.
Yeah.
Um, and so I, was like, "Well, maybe I'll make them because that's more conducive to being broke." That making comics seems like and being broke goes hand in hand. So that was it. That was the decision. I was like, "Maybe I'll make comics." I don't know how to draw. I knew I didn't know how to draw. I used to try and draw comics when I was a kid, and it was horrible. So I was like, "Well, I guess now maybe those writer genes I can test," and here we are.
You know, they tell you too that you're just supposed to keep drawing as a kid, and it eventually gets better. But the perfectionist in me would not allow
Uh,
that.
oh, yeah, for sure. I drew all the time, and then I would sit down and I would look at Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane, and I'd be,
Yep.
11 and 12 and be like, "Doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like it's ever gonna look like that. I'm never gonna be there." And I gave up, and I sometimes I regret that I didn't. I mean, I think drawing, people always talk about how much work goes into it, and that's 100% true, but also there's just natural skill.
Hmm.
There you have to be both. It's like being, a professional basketball player, baseball player. It's like you can't just work infinitely and be on it and make the Knicks. You have to also be gifted. And the I just didn't have the gift. It was very clear to me. And maybe I could have powered through it and spent my whole life trying to be mediocre and gotten there, but I gave up and moved on, and I let Jim Lee be Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane be Todd McFarlane.
So, I mean, thankfully you stuck with writing because you produced some outstanding work. One of the titles being "If Destruction Be Our Lot," which we're here to talk about today. Such an awesome title. For anyone who is not in the know, from Abraham Lincoln himself, if destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. Such a scary
Yes.
quote in today's modern age. Like,
Yeah. When we were coming up with the title for the book, we knew we wanted a Lincoln quote, and there's so many that are more famous, and there are so many that are brilliant. I mean, he's one of the great speechwriters of not just the modern world, but all time. But that speech, the Lincoln's Lyceum speech, is like just a jaw-dropping and chilling speech about um, democracy and what it means to him and the ideas of liberty and America and how they can be destroyed and his ideas still feel really relevant that the thing that's going to bring democracy down is not a foreign invader or anything like that. It's going to be us tearing ourselves apart, and it's going to be us following people who undermine the tenets of it. So the speech is this. If you don't know the speech at home, it's worth reading.
yeah.
It's prescient, but also just really well written.
And it's insane how much of that translates over centuries
Yeah.
and stays relevant. Real quick, we have our good friend Tipsy Pickle joining us on Twitch and Byron from Comic Book Yeti over on YouTube. The music business is horrible. Truth. It absolutely is. I never really got into the business side of it. I was more or less like always like in the garage bands. I think that's like
Mhm.
an essential part of growing up as a teen is like get out there on the stage and jam a little bit with your friends.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's I'm so happy that like a drawing, I knew early on that I didn't have the ability to be a good musician, but I still I grew up as a punk and hardcore kid, so I was like, well, I don't need to actually be good. I just need to be able to get on stage with my friends. And so I was lucky to have those experiences. But after a certain point, I was like, okay, this is there are just people who are better at this than me, and I'll do other things rather than um play bass slightly out of tune or play drums slightly off rhythm.
So for everyone that is joining us, If Destruction Be Our Lot will be dropping May 6th. $5, $4.99 cover price, 48 pages. Awesome story. Humanity is extinct, and all that remains are the robots that once helped us. And now they're much happier that we are gone. And that makes a lot of sense with humanity as it is, but not Abe. And I love how Abe is the main character of this story. Can you give us
Yes.
a little bit about what the story means to you?
Yeah. It's funny because the book is a lot of things, and we've been working on it for a really long time. Actually, we're currently working on the third volume, so we have this plan for a long time, and but have been working on it for a long time. Um, and it came to me as this I just like I just had this thought about the animatronic Abraham Lincoln wandering in a world without people, and I thought that was a funny idea. I don't know why that's what came to me, but it is, and so I just was sort of tickled by this image that popped into my head, and I eventually was like, "Well, I guess I'll try and figure out what that book is," and it's not how I normally make books, but, I'm really glad I chose to pursue this because it's become this book that I really love because I think it is sort of capturing and talking about all these things that I care about and all these things that mean a lot to me. There's a lot of big themes in there, but it's also a very personal book and it's a very intimate book. And it's a type of book that we don't make so much in comics anymore.
Hmm.
It's a real odyssey. It's a real epic journey where we're asking you to like sort of fall in love with a character and want to spend time with him. And our character happens to be a robotic version of Abraham Lincoln, but um, he's going on this big quest, and I think it's very, I love that. I love that just in terms of as a comic book nerd. I love like there's stuff that I was growing up reading like Concrete and Elf Quest and Love and Rockets and books like that where like you're just in love with the characters and you want to spend
Yeah.
time with them. And so we're trying to go back to that idea and yeah, it just the whole thing feels really special to me, and I hope people check it out.
So, what is the symbolism behind Abe as a character himself? I mean, there's so many different historical figures in history.
Yeah.
What kind of spoke to you guys about Abraham Lincoln?
Um, well, it's funny because, like I said, the idea of Lincoln sort of came to me before the story came to me, and so at first he was just there because that's how I thought of it, and then I co-write the book with my brother and Mark and uh, our collaborator Andy MacDonald draws it and sort of has helped envision it and build it every step of the way. And at it very early on, we all made the same realization that like Abraham Lincoln is as close to a mythical figure as we have in America. He's a person that everyone recognizes. He's on the sides of mountains. He's on our money. He's just this larger than life character, and he means so much to people, and they know so much about him that we realize that doing this book, like he brings a certain metaphor that people bring to the book, that people
Mhm.
go into the book reading that we didn't intend ever. The book isn't about the Civil War, it isn't about slavery, it isn't about, any of those things, and so for a long time, we were actually kind of really concerned about that and trying to figure out how to undo it, and it's a weird thing to try and figure out how to take metaphor out of a book, um And after a while, I think it dawned on us, like, we talked about using other characters and had lists and lists of characters to be like, "Well, is the book better if it's this or this person?" Um, but after a while, we realized, like, well, let's play with those ideas and let's play with those themes and subvert some of them, and people will have expectations. And so it was never intended, but I think the amazing thing about Lincoln is that he's a really good stand-in for humanity as a whole. He's a
Yeah.
really good stand-in for a lot of things because what we know of him is that was a person who sought to bring people together. He tried to have people treated better. He's this sort of ideal version of humanity in a lot of ways. He was thoughtful and by all accounts like pretty compassionate person, very empathetic person, and but also a lonely person,
Hmm.
a haunted person, a sad person, a very tragic figure, and all of that to me is like, yeah, that stuff we wanted to talk about anyway. Isolation and loneliness and um thinking you have a bigger role in the world and wanting people to treat each other better and wanting people to get along, and all of those things were ideas we really loved and wanted in the book, and those were Abe, and we just didn't realize it when we started.
I really love that perception of Abraham Lincoln, and maybe that's why they're taking away the penny. This guy was such a great uniter of the
Sure.
people, and they're like, you know what, we need to get him out of here.
Yeah.
Um, so tell us a little bit about this world. Humanity is gone. What does that look like in this universe?
Yeah, so, it's funny because we come out and we say, humanity's extinct and all these things, and I think people get this preconceived notion of a post-apocalyptic world, and I guess our world is post-apocalyptic, but a big thing is that we don't want it to look like that, and we don't want it to feel like, you know, Fallout or Mad Max or anything like that. It's not like that. It's humanity is gone, and the robots who ran society for us, are fine with that. They're okay. And so they're going about doing their jobs, and they enjoy it because humans are annoying and difficult and
Hmm.
irrational and get in the way. And so what it looks like is the bus drives its route every day and no one gets on it. And the breakfast robot makes food, goes around and makes food, but no one eats it. And it's that over and over. They're building buildings and they're taking buildings down, but no one lives in them. And yeah, it's a very sort of surreal world. It's a very lonely world, but the robots are everywhere and they're going about their lives and talking to each other and have their own personalities, and um it it it's post-apocalyptic only in, on a technical level, but on
Hmm.
a practical level it's just a robot world. It's the robots world, and they're doing fine, and they're having a good time, but Abe is not. Abe thinks that he was meant for something else, that there's something missing from the world and something missing from him, and he really questions that, what the world is like.
I think it's really interesting to give robots like personalities and depths of emotion. Kind of reminds me of I don't know if you've ever played Detroit Become Human,
No, I
where it's about androids that lead like a revolt, like a violent thing,
yeah.
lead a revolt against the humans. And I thought that was such an interesting concept to give something metallic and that seemingly is supposed to kind of just be without emotion, intelligence.
Yeah, I early on, we went the other way with the book, and we had this idea that they were all the robots were sort of networked together and hyper intelligent. That
Yeah.
basically they had the whole access to the whole internet and all of our knowledge. And so you'd be walking down the street and the mailbox is as smart as the smartest supercomputer, and the street light is as smart as the smartest entity we can imagine. And we started making the book that way for a while, and then we realized that, like, while it's an interesting idea, on a story level, it's maybe not as fun to just be like, well, it kind of makes everything God, and
Hmm.
it makes the whole world God, and then it makes Abraham Lincoln, who wouldn't be part of that, kind of the only non-God, but also making it seem kind of stupid by comparison. And so we were just like, no, they all have their own intellect, and in doing that, it really became its own thing. And then Andy MacDonald, who's just a genius, an art genius, and a maniac. Um, Early on, when we were talking about the book, I said, it's there's all these robots, but Abe is the only one who looks like a human. And he said, oh, what do the other robots look like? And I said, well, they're all different. Every one of them looks different. And I think for most artists, that's when they hang up the phone and quit the book. When you're
Mhm.
like, you're going to design every single character to look unique and different, and you have to invent every single character. Um, but Andy just loves that stuff and was like, "Oh, yeah, that's awesome," and has come back and given all these robots looks and feels that feel different, and so the personalities and the intellect and the humanity we put in them is all, I think, starts at Andy for us, and I think the audience will really connect with what he's making. There's some very charming and weird and horrible robots in here.
And going that extra mile, I think, adds that extra layer of depth to the surrounding environments and just the robots themselves. I feel having them each kind of look different and have different personalities. That's awesome. That he loves doing that and went into that. Now, what did the collaborative process look like with your brother on this? Are you guys work together pretty nicely, or do you kind of
Yeah, we do work together. We're very close, so, it's not crazy that that we're making a book together, but, he's a my brother's a screenwriter and a director by trade, and this is his first comic, and so, um, a lot of it is when we started, a lot of it was like a learning experience for him, and I was sort of showing the ropes. And at a certain point, I realized that like he just has this amazing brain for big ideas and themes, and um, he thinks about story on a whole different level than me. He's one of the best people I've ever met about like just stepping back and seeing what a story is as a whole,
Mhm.
and sort of the way we make comics in general was not conducive to that always. I think there's a lot of sort of building things on the fly and adjusting things and sort of making big ideas happen out of spare parts is kind of the way we make comics. And I realized like it's not fair that we're sort of in my home territory and not using his best skill set. Um, and so we restructured the way we made the book, and it's why, like I said, we're so far ahead on the book, and we've been working so long. We were going to put this book out a couple of years ago, and we decided to not and just take the time to make it and make as much of it as we can and plan and have these things. And so it's amazing to have him as a asset on the book and do that. But the creatively, it means that we're both incredibly hands-on. There's
Yeah.
no part of the book that isn't it's not like I come up with an idea and he writes the story. We write everything together. We do plotting together, we do panel descriptions together, we do scripting together, and it's there's no one person has one task. We all do all of it. Like if I write something, it goes to him and he rewrites it and sends it back to me, and then I adjust it and on and on. And it's slow that way, but I think what you end up with is a book that's actually very much a book that only I could make and a book that only he could make. It's not just one of us. It's very much the product of both of us, and I'm very proud of it for that.
So, how much of an influence do we see from his film background within this book?
I think on the page, I would say not a lot, but I think in terms of the again, like the way we're making it, there's the old idiom that like when you make a movie, you actually make it twice, once when you shoot it and once when you edit it.
Mhm.
And that's not comics for the most part. Like that's not how we work. By the time you're on issue 4, people are holding issue 1 in their hands, and so you're kind of like, well, if we wanted to change something in the beginning,
It's too
people
late.
have already read it. People already paid money for it. And that's not how we're doing it. And so what you're seeing is a book that like we've gone back and moved scenes around, moved things around, redrawn pages, added characters in, taken pages out. Like there's a whole structuring thing that feels very non-comics and very film to me, very filmic, but also my brother's a director and a very good director, and so he has a really good eye, which is complicated because Andy is also a great illustrator and has a great sense. And early on, my brother was giving a lot of visual notes more than I
Hmm.
give to an artist usually. I tend to think like I write a script and hands it off, and then it's their script, then it's their book, and they visually, you know, bring it to life, and then I come back and adjust what I was thinking based on what I get. And my brother was really giving Andy a lot of notes, and I stepped in and said to Andy, I was like, "Is this too much?" And he was like, I've never had this experience before. Like I've never had a person like so thinking about shots and process in that
Yeah.
way. And I was like, "Well, is it too much?" And he was like, "No, it's very fun. It's like an interesting collaboration to have." He's like, "It's like having another person in the drawing room." Um, and I think, Andy's great in some of the notes from my brother. Like he's been like, "No, I don't agree with that," and it's Andy's version of the book. But some of them, Andy's been like, "Oh, that really changed the way I was thinking of this scene or this page," and it's been really fun to see. And it's a very different experience for all of us. And so in that way, I think that's a lot of his film background coming in is just he's stepping in and putting on a director's hat every once in a while.
I think it's always interesting to hear about the collaborative process and kind of what goes into it and how important it is to bounce off one another and have that give and take. Let them do their thing, and they let you do your thing as well. For everyone that is joining us, be sure to check out this book from Image Comics right here, If Destruction Be Our Lot. It'll be dropping soon, so get your pre-orders in. If you're unable to pre-order, simply put it on Facebook, Twitter. Word of mouth costs you nothing, and sharing is caring. So Matthew, I know this is your first time on the show, but I love ending with a little bit of advice and what you're up to outside of creating comics, because it can't always be work for us, right?
Mhm.
So for anyone out there, as someone who grew up reading comics and then went on to write those series, for the writer out there looking to begin that journey themselves, what would be your biggest piece of advice to help them get started?
Um, I'm gonna give two because I give one sometimes and everybody hates it, but it is good advice, so I'm gonna keep doing it. And the first one is save your money. Um, and I don't mean that in a dark way. Like people are sometimes like, you shouldn't make comics, it's a horrible career. I love making comics. I've been very fortunate to do it, and I understand that, but I love it. And if people want to make comics, like, awesome. We need more people making comics. We need more comics in the world. But uh it takes money, and it's a hard path to start. And you want to pay people for their time, and you want to be able to do that, and you need money to do that. And you want to, if you want to be dedicated to something and do it, like, you can't just casually. I mean, you can, but like, if you want a career, it's probably not going to come from just casually making comics. And part of that is um a commitment to it, and a commitment to that. And a big way you can help yourself is being frugal and having some money, so you're not making decisions based on out of fear. Like,
Hmm.
I see a lot of aspiring creators make decisions out of necessity or fear. And if you know spend less money on video games, or spend less money on going out to the bar every week, like, you're gonna make better comics. It's at first it sucks, but it's true. And no one likes that advice, but I think it's good advice. But the other thing I would say is just read as much as you can.
Hmm.
Um, but this is more for writers, but read as much as you can. It's good advice for artists too, but um read things you wouldn't normally read. Go into a bookstore, or especially a comic shop, and buy things you don't know what they are. Buy things that ask people who have very different tastes than you. Um, you learn so much about who you are as a creator and what your voice is from reading other experiences, from seeing how other people tell their stories. And also, I say this to people and they don't believe that I'm serious, but I am. Reading things you hate can often be as informative as reading the things you love. And so try things that feel outside your comfort zone. The worst thing that happens is that you end up hating it, and it
Yeah.
teaches you about yourself. So, um, yeah, that's my advice: is save your money, and then also spend all your money on books.
You know, people probably hate that first advice because it's about as real as it gets, I feel.
Mhm.
And people hate when you keep it real with them. Like, hey, maybe cut out on the bar a little bit and you can
Yeah.
afford, a little ash can here or there.
Yeah, yeah. I when I started, I was, I was, just a, person. I collected video games. I was a big game nerd. I collected records and all that stuff, and I just was like, "I can't do all of this. I can't have all of
Hmm.
this. If I want this thing, if I wanna be making comics, I need to pay a good letterer. I need to pay a good designer," and you know, that's a few Xbox games. That's a couple nice meals out on town. Like, it's no joke, and I'm much happier having the great cover artist or the great
Hmm.
designer than I am having the game that I played and kind of forgot.
Like, because let's be for real, there's emulators out there. It's nice to have, as a game collector myself, it's nice to have that
Sure.
Earthbound or what have you up on the wall. But it collects dust 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, and, they're not all gonna be Earthbound. There's a lot of the games you're buying aren't Earthbound, like, let's be real. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I got rid of everything. I have games, and I still play games from time to time, but you don't need to buy the collector's edition of every
Yeah.
game that comes out every month.
No,
Um
awesome advice there. I appreciate that. And last but not least, what are you up to outside of creating? What books are you reading? What TV shows are you watching? And what games are you gaming on?
Sure. So outside of creating, which is less and less time these days, but uh, books am I reading? Man, I just uh, well, I've been rereading a lot of Spawn because I'm taking over writing Spawn. So but
Congratulations on that.
that's where thank you, but that's work. Um, I've been reading a book, called Charlie Chan Hak Chi, which is really amazing. It's a sort of fictional, biography about a cartoonist, and it goes through his life and his career, and it's all fake, but it's so convincing. It's like a great documentary about a person, a legendary artist you've never heard of is
Mhm.
sort of the idea. So I've been really loving that. What else? The new Phantom of the Opera book, from Skybound is really
Okay,
great.
yeah.
I've been loving that. The Absolute books I really love.
Oh my God, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
can't say enough nice things about Absolute Batman, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Superman. Like all of them have just been awesome and so exciting to see. I've been really enjoying. I really like The Dead and the Dying. Um, read that and what else? News from the Fallout. That was really great. News from the
Mhm.
Fallout's awesome. Um, so many good books. I'll move on. TV shows. I just finished Pluribus.
Oh, I
Which
heard nothing but good things about
it's
that.
amazing. It's a very it feels like it's exactly the kind of thing it's one of those things that when you experience it, you're like, "Did they make this just for me?" It's so like it's so built around tone and mood and pacing and like it's just this sort of slow creeping dread and also like this mystery and all this stuff and I really loved it. So Pluribus was a big one for me. I just started the new season of For All Mankind last night, and first episode of the new season is very fun. Um, I watched a bunch of good movies recently. I watched La Chimera, which was really great. Josh O'Connor, just like one of the best actors working today. I watched Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which has been on my to watch list forever, but
Yeah.
I finally watched it, and it's as good as everyone says it is. And yeah, that's about it. That's kind of what I've been up to.
Oh, you haven't been gaming lately?
Well, the gaming I was doing, I was out in LA and I stay with my childhood friend who we grew up together and I always stay with him. And when we were growing up, we were big Nintendo 64 guys.
Mhm.
And so a bunch of years ago, I bought a Nintendo 64 and just left it at his house. And so the last gaming I did was when I was in LA last month. We basically stayed up till 4 or 5 in the morning every night playing either GoldenEye, which does not hold up as
Oh,
much
no.
as you want it to. it's still really fun, but that fun is, I realize, entirely nostalgia based. We play a lot of GoldenEye, a lot of Mario Kart, and a lot of Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball are
Ooh.
the big ones. Yeah.
So I was rocking Diddy Kong Racing for that's another one that really it's good, but it probably could have aged a little better. But I loved that one.
What's funny is that growing up, my brother, I always beat him at Mario Kart, which is weird because you're not supposed to always be able to beat someone at Mario Kart. Kind of built to not do that. And he realized that he was better than me at Diddy Kong Racing, and so he was always like, "No, let's not play Mario Kart.
Let's play
Diddy
this.
Kong." And I was like, "It's just not as good. It's the same game, but not as good." And he was insistent when we play it, and I would always lose. And he was like, "You don't like it because you lose." And I was like, "I don't like it because it's bad, but also I do lose."
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a bad game, but yeah, it's I like the flying, I like that
Mhm.
aspect of it, but it's not Mario Kart. Mario Kart's the king for a reason.
Yeah, yeah, and dude, they made this. I think it's the 64 Brawler controller. It's a Bluetooth, and it makes it like a regular controller. It's so nice playing
wow.
like an old, and it hooks right into an old N64. So, yeah, that is awesome. What a blast of the past, Matthew. Thank you so much for swinging by. Everyone that is watching, hit that description. You'll find links to Matt's podcast, Ideas Don't Bleed, Ashcan Press, and then the link for If Destruction Be Our Lot. Get those pre-orders in while you still can. I hope you all have a lovely Tuesday, but most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.